The red light on the camera blinked to life like a heartbeat. And before I could second-guess myself, the words tumbled out, "I'm gay." The auditorium gasped as one, a wave of shock rippling through the sea of faces, but my eyes locked on hers. My mother's, third row from the back, her coffee cup frozen halfway to her lips, eyes wide with the kind of betrayal that slices deeper than any knife. In that split second, I saw our whole fragile lie shatter. The one where she told the neighbors I was off studying abroad in some fancy European program, when really, I'd been hiding in plain sight right here in Cleveland, fighting for the air to breathe my truth. And just like that, the static crackle of the broadcast mic carried my confession straight to the local cable feed, beaming it into every living room from Lakewood to Parma, straight back to the cul-de-sac where she'd built our perfect facade. I was Alex Harper, 18 years old, and that morning in the spring of 2015, under the fluorescent buzz of Westview High's media studio, I became the boy who blew up his mother's world. But let's rewind, because the story didn't start with that mic in my hand. It started 2 years earlier, in the sticky heat of a July afternoon in our cookie-cutter suburb outside Cleveland, Ohio. The kind of place where American flags flap lazily from porches and everyone knows your business before you do. My mom, Karen Harper, was the queen of that invisible empire. Widowed young after Dad's heart attack when I was 10, she'd clawed her way through grief by becoming the neighborhood's unofficial therapist. PTA president, bake sale wizard, the woman who could make apple pie taste like redemption. To the outside world, we were the Harpers, solid, church-going, the family that had it all together. But behind our sage-green shutters, it was me and her against the silence. A silence she'd enforced like a religion. I'd known I was different since middle school, when the other boys started trading crushes on girls like baseball cards, and I found myself stealing glances at the quarterback's jawline in gym class. It wasn't a phase. It was a secret that gnawed at me like termites in the walls. By freshman year, the whispers started, kids calling me Fairy, in the halls after they caught me doodling hearts around the swim team's roster in my notebook. Mom overheard one too many rumors at the grocery store, saw the way Pastor Mike's wife side-eyed us during Sunday service. Instead of talking to me, she decided on action. "You're going away, Alex," she said one night over pot roast, her voice steady as steel. "A study abroad program in London, full immersion, top schools. It'll be good for you. Fresh start." I was 15, terrified, and too ashamed to argue. London? It sounded like escape, but it was exile. She packed my bags herself, told the neighbors I'd won some scholarship, waved goodbye at the airport with tears in her eyes that weren't for show. Except there was no London. The program was a euphemism for Aunt Lydia's basement apartment in the heart of Cleveland's Little Italy, a 40-minute drive from home but worlds away in her mind. Lydia, Mom's estranged sister, the black sheep who'd moved to the city after coming out as a lesbian in the 90s, was the only one who knew the truth. "Your mom's scared, kiddo," she'd said, handing me a keyring shaped like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. "But fear's a liar. Stay here, finish high school at Westview. We'll tell her you're thriving overseas." Westview was a public magnet school, diverse and artsy, the kind of place where kids wore rainbow pins unironically and the drama club outed itself every Pride Month. It was my lifeline, a bubble of acceptance in the gray sprawl of Rust Belt, Ohio. That's where I met Jamie Ruiz. God, even now, thinking his name feels like sunlight breaking through clouds. It was orientation week, late August, the air thick with the scent of fresh-cut grass and cafeteria pizza. I was slouched in the back of the assembly hall, hoodie pulled low, trying to blend into the wood paneling, when he walked onto the stage as the student council rep. Jamie was 17, Mexican-American, with skin like warm caramel and eyes that crinkled at the corners like he was always on the verge of a secret joke. His hair was that perfect messy wave, and when he cracked a line about the cafeteria's mystery meat being a metaphor for high school, looks fine, tastes like regret, the whole room howled. I laughed too, louder than I meant to, and somehow our eyes met across the crowd. He winked. Just like that, my heart stuttered. We collided properly a week later in the art room, both reaching for the same jar of cobalt blue. "You knew?" he asked, his voice low and teasing, fingers brushing mine. Up close, he smelled like citrus and sketch charcoal. "Yeah," I mumbled, heat flooding my face. "From out of town." He didn't pry, just grinned and said, "I'm Jamie. Stick around. This place'll either save you or scandalize you." By lunch, we were sharing a tray in the corner booth, trading stories like contraband. He was out to everyone. Had been since 8th grade, when his parents threw him a coming-out party with cake that said, "Love wins" in rainbow icing. His dad was a mechanic, mom a nurse. They lived in a duplex off East 55th, where family barbecues meant tamales and tequila shots. "It's not always easy," he admitted, dipping a fry in ketchup. "But hiding? That's the real killer." I nodded, throat tight, wishing I could spill everything about the lie that had shipped me here. Fall turned to winter, and Jamie became my gravity. We'd sneak into the abandoned bleachers after practice, his soccer cleats dangling beside my sneakers, talking until the streetlights hummed on. He'd read me poetry from his battered Ginsberg book, Howl Under the Stars, his voice wrapping around words like angel-headed hipsters, until I felt seen, raw, alive. One night, snow flurrying like confetti, he leaned in and kissed me, soft at first, then fierce, like we'd both been starving. It was my first real kiss, tasting of hot chocolate and possibility. "You're safe with me, Alex," he whispered against my lips. I believed him. For the first time, I felt like I belonged, not as the Harper boy with the perfect mom, but as me. But secrets have a way of seeping out. Mom started calling more, her voice tinny over the line from Lydia's landline. "How's London, honey? Met any nice girls?" I choke out lies about Big Ben and tea time, while Lydia rolled her eyes in the background. The neighbors ate it up. Mrs. Delaney from next door even sent a care package of Ohio Buckeyes. For our little world traveler. Guilt twisted in my gut like barbed wire. I missed Mom, the real her. The one who'd sing Springsteen in the kitchen, belt out Born to Run, while flipping pancakes. But every time I thought about going home, the fear clamped down. What if she couldn't love this version of me? By sophomore year, Jamie and I were inseparable. He dragged me to his first Pride parade downtown. Rainbow flags whipping in the wind off Lake Erie, drag queens on floats belting Madonna. The air electric with chants of "Love is love." I held his hand the whole time, heart pounding, half expecting lightning to strike. That night, we made out on his rooftop under a blanket of stars, his fingers tracing the freckles on my neck. "I love you, Alex Harper," he said, breath warm against my ear. Love. It was a word I'd only heard in movies, but with him, it felt like home. We dreamed big. College at Oberlin together, road trips down Route 66, a life where we didn't have to whisper. Yet cracks were forming. Westview's annual talent show was coming up, and Jamie signed us up for a duet. A spoken-word piece about hidden loves and quiet revolutions. "It's time," he said, eyes shining, "for you to own it." I hesitated, the old fear coiling tight. Mom was planning a visit, her first surprise from London. Really just Lydia's cover story holding by a thread, if word got back. But Jamie's faith in me was a drug, pulling me under. We rehearsed in empty classrooms, our voices weaving like threads. His fire, my ache, felt cathartic like exhaling after years underwater. Then the betrayal hit, swift as a sucker punch. It was a Friday in March, rain sluicing the windows like tears. I'd skipped last period to surprise Jamie at soccer practice, a thermos of his favorite mate tea in hand. But as I crested the hill to the field, I froze. There he was, under the pavilion with Tyler Voss, the cocky junior with the bleached tips and trust fund smirk. Hands on Jamie's waist, lips locked in a kiss that looked anything but accidental. My world tilted. The thermos slipped, clattering down the embankment, but they didn't hear. I turned and ran, rain soaking through my jacket, chest heaving with sobs that tasted like rust. I didn't confront him that night. Instead, I holed up in Lydia's basement, blasting the National until the walls shook. She found me there at midnight, curled on the futon with a half-empty bottle of her cheap Merlot. "Spill it, nephew," she said, settling beside me with her no-nonsense bob and cat-eye glasses. I did every word, from the kiss to the lies I'd swallowed for love. "Betrayal's a bitch," she said, lighting a cigarette despite the smoke alarm. "But it's not the end. It's the forge." She told me her story then. Disowned by mom after coming out, rebuilding in the city with nothing but grit and a library card. Your mom's not a monster, Alex. She's scared. Like I was. Like you are. By dawn, resolve hardened in me. I wouldn't let Jamie slip, whatever it was, define me. I come out on my terms. For me. The school announcements were a Westview tradition. Live broadcasts from the media studio, piped into every classroom via ancient TVs bolted to the walls. Student hosts read the news, sports scores, club updates, the occasional viral cat video. But that week, with the talent show looming, the principal announced a special segment for student spotlights. Share your story, the flyer said. Make your voice heard. Jamie had signed me up behind my back, thinking it'd be our big moment. After the betrayal, I almost backed out. But anger fueled me, mixed with that stubborn spark Lydia had ignited. Monday morning, I slipped into the studio before the host arrived, heart hammering like a bass drum. The engineer, a sleepy senior named Raj, shrugged when I said I was subbing in. Whatever, man. Lights on in 3. As the countdown echoed, 2, 1, go. I gripped the mic, the weight of it grounding me like an anchor in a storm. The feed went live, my face filling screens across the school, then bleeding out to the local access channel that looped into half the county's cable boxes. Good morning, Westview. I started, voice steadier than I felt. This isn't the weather report. It's my story. Pause. Breathe. The control room was silent, Raj's eyes wide behind the glass. I plunged in. The lies, the exile, the love that had cracked me open. My mom told everyone I was studying abroad because she couldn't face who I am. But I'm gay, and I'm done hiding. The words hung there, raw and irrevocable, like ink bleeding into water. Back in the auditorium for the live audience, kids gathered for assembly. The reaction was instant. A few gasps, then scattered claps that swelled into thunderous applause. Someone whooped. A girl in the front row yelled, "You go, Alex!" But my gaze cut to the back, where Mom sat frozen, her surprise visit turning into a nightmare. She'd driven in that morning, Lydia's reluctant chaperone, armed with postcards from London to keep the charade alive. Now her face was ash-gray, hands clasped so tight her knuckles blanched. Our eyes met through the chaos, and in that look, I saw not just shock, but a mirror of my own fear, the terror of losing the life we'd built on sand. The broadcast cut abruptly, Raj fumbling the switch after a frantic whisper from the office, but it was too late. By third period, my phone was exploding. Texts from classmates? Dude, that was epic. A flood of hearts from the GSA club. Even a voicemail from Principal Hayes praising my courage. But the real storm brewed outside those walls. Jamie cornered me in the hall between bells, eyes red-rimmed, backpack slung low like a shield. Alex, wait. I can explain. His voice cracked, pleading. I wanted to hate him, to shove past and let the hurt fester, but the pull was magnetic. Not here, I muttered, dragging him into the stairwell, the door slamming like a guillotine. He spilled it all in a rush. Tyler had been flirting for weeks, a stupid ego boost after a bad game. Nothing more than a drunken fumble at a party I'd skipped. It was one kiss, Alex. One mistake. I love you, I swear. Tears streaked his cheeks, and damn if it didn't twist the knife deeper. Betrayal isn't just the act. It's the echo, the way it makes you question every tender moment before. You knew I was fragile, I whispered, voice breaking. You knew, and you still. He reached for me, but I stepped back, the cold concrete wall at my spine. I need time, Jamie. Space. He nodded, defeated, and slunk away, leaving me hollow. Lunch was a gauntlet. The cafeteria buzzed like a hive, eyes darting my way, whispers chasing me to the line. Sarah from drama club slid in beside me, tray clattering. That was ballsy, Harper. Proud of you. She was the first openly trans kid at Westview, her journey a legend in these halls. We ate in silence at first, then she prodded. Your mom's in the office. Principal's with her. My stomach dropped. I abandoned my burger and bolted, heart in my throat. Mom was in the waiting area, perched on a plastic chair like it might bite, her cardigan buttoned wrong. Alex, she said when she saw me, voice a wire-thin thread. Up close, she looked smaller, lines etched deeper around her eyes. What have you done? The accusation hung heavy, laced with hurt. I braced for the explosion, the disowning, the flight back to the suburbs in shame. Instead, she pulled me into a hug, fierce and trembling, right there amid the fluorescent hum and distant locker slams. I thought I was protecting you, she murmured into my shoulder. From them, from everything. We stood like that, tangled in the wreckage, until Hayes emerged, all awkward handshakes and family counseling pamphlets. The drive back to Lydia's was a minefield. Mom white-knuckled the wheel of her rented Corolla. Radio tuned low to some classic rock station crooning Journey. Don't stop believin', it warbled, and we both let out brittle laughs. Hers teary, mine edged with hysteria. She confessed in fragments. The neighbors' judgments after Dad died. How she'd rebuilt our rep brick by judgmental brick. When I heard the rumors, panicked. Thought sending you away would fix it. Make you normal. The word landed like a slap, but her voice softened. I Googled it last year. How to help your gay son. Read stories till dawn. But facing it, in Shaker Heights, it's like admitting I failed you. I stared out at the passing warehouses, graffiti-tagged and rain-slicked. You didn't fail, Mom. You hid. We both did. Lydia was waiting with takeout from Little Italy, eggplant parm and garlic knots, her version of comfort food. The three of us crammed around her formica table, the air thick with unspoken thunder. Mom picked at her plate, then blurted, I told Mrs. Delaney today, about the broadcast, about you. My fork froze midair. What did she say? Lydia leaned in, eyebrow arched. Mom's lips quirked, a ghost of her old smile. She hugged me, said her nephew's gay too, invited us to dinner. It was small, seismic, a crack in the facade letting light in. But peace is fleeting in stories like mine. That night, as Mom bunked on the pullout and Lydia snored through her bedroom door, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Proud of you, son. Wish I could have been there. Pastor Mike. Then another, from Tommy across the street. Heard the news. Kinda always knew. Ball's in your court now. The cul-de-sac was waking up, the lie unraveling thread by thread. I slipped outside to the fire escape, Cleveland's skyline a jagged silhouette against the moon. Jamie's window was dark across the way. No, wait, he lived miles off, but in my head he was everywhere. I typed a message, deleted it, typed again. Miss you, but trust is earned. Send. The whoosh felt like release. School the next day was surreal. A hero's welcome laced with undercurrents. Posters popped up overnight. Alex's story equals our story, in Sharpie on butcher paper, taped to lockers. The GSA mobbed me at my locker, crowns of rainbow pipe cleaners thrust upon my head. Even Tyler slunk by in bio, mumbling, sorry man, won't happen again. Jamie kept his distance, but his eyes followed me like shadows, pleading, patient. By afternoon, the principal pulled me aside. The broadcast's gone viral locally. News trucks outside. You okay? I nodded, numb. Okay was a foreign country. Mom decided to stay through the weekend, crashing at Lydia's and tagging along to my classes like a chaperone at prom. It was awkward, enlightening. Her wide-eyed at the mural of Harvey Milk in the hall, her quiet questions over vending machine coffee. What's queer theory? We walked the lakefront Saturday. Wind whipping off Erie, gulls wheeling overhead. I met someone. I told her, the words careful as eggshells. Jamie. He's everything. She stopped, pebbles crunching underfoot. The boy from the broadcast? I nodded. The one who broke your heart? Trust her to zero in. He messed up. But love's not clean, Mom. It's messy. Real. She linked her arm in mine, tentative. Like your dad and me. Fought like cats. Loved like fools. For the first time, she shared about him. Not the sainted ghost, but the man who'd burned toast and danced badly at weddings. Humanized us both. Sunday brunch at a diner on St. Clair. Pierogies and sausage, Lydia's treat, turned confessional. Mom admitted the study abroad fund was really therapy money. Sessions with a counselor who'd preached, pray the gay away. I was desperate, she said, syrup dripping from her fork. Thought I could save you from pain. Lydia snorted. Pain finds us anyway, sis. Better face it head on. By dessert, tears flowed freely, hugs exchanged over cooling coffee. I'm sorry, Alex, Mom whispered, for the lies, for not seeing you. I squeezed her hand. Apology accepted. Now what? The now what crashed in Monday morning. I'd barely shrugged off my backpack when the office phone rang. Mrs. Delaney, hysterical, relaying the fallout. Turns out, the broadcast had looped on the community channel overnight, catching the tail end of the Blackfish documentary slot. By dawn, Shaker Heights was ablaze. Potlucks canceled, prayer chains activated, a petition circulating to save Alex's soul. Pastor Mike called it a cry for help. His sermon snippet already Facebook famous. Mom's phone blew up, voicemails from concerned friends, texts laced with Bible verses. She played one aloud in the car. Cousin Rita, voice quivering. Karen, honey, we love you both. But this is the devil's work. We pulled over on a side street, engine ticking cool, rain pattering the roof like accusations. Mom's hands shook as she gripped the wheel. I can't go back there. Not yet. The weight of it hit me. The suburb wasn't just houses. It was her armor, her identity. Then don't, I said, fierce. Stay here, with us. Lydia's place was cramped, but it was sanctuary. She nodded, resolve flickering. Okay, for now. Jamie found me after school, waiting by the bike racks, helmet dangling from his handlebars. The lot was emptying, buses rumbling away like thunder. Can we talk? Really talk? His eyes were earnest, shadowed by regret. Against my better judgment, I followed him to the park across the street. Benches slick with mist, swings creaking empty. He laid it bare. The insecurity after his parents' divorce filing, Tyler's easy flattery filling the void. I was weak, Alex, but losing you, that's shown me what strength is. He pulled a crumpled poem from his pocket. Lines about fractured light and mended wings, inked in his looping scrawl. I want to earn it back, if you'll let me. I read it twice, throat tight. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a slow thaw. One step, I said finally. No more secrets. He grinned, that crinkle-eyed magic, and pulled me into a hug that smelled like home. But the real climax brewed back in the suburbs, a storm front rolling in from the heartland. Mom fielded calls all week, her voice a shield turning brittle. The neighbors split. Some rallied, dropping off casseroles with notes like, "We're family, period." Others ghosted, their lawns suddenly too busy for waves. Then the betrayal landed, not from Jamie this time, but closer to the bone. Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, the one who'd always sent birthday checks with Be a Man cards, called Thursday night. Lydia patched it through speaker. Karen, this boy's shaming the family name. Send him to conversion camp. Or cut him off. Mom's face hardened. A steel I hadn't seen since Dad's funeral. Ray, that's my son. And he's perfect as he is. Click. The line went dead, and with it a chunk of our past. We drove home that weekend. Mom insisting, face it together. The cul-de-sac looked the same. Hydrangeas blooming defiant. Kids on scooters dodging sprinklers. But tension hummed like power lines. Mrs. Delaney waved from her porch, a tentative smile. Across the street, the Wilsons' blinds snapped shut. Inside, our house felt foreign. Dust on the mantel, mail piled like regrets. That night, over takeout pizza on paper plates, Mom cracked open a photo album. Pictures of me as a gap-toothed kid. Dad hoisting me on shoulders at Indians games. I built this lie to protect these memories, she said softly. But memories aren't cages. We cried then, ugly and unfiltered, until laughter bubbled up. Reminiscing about Dad's failed attempts at grilling. The time he dressed as Elvis for Halloween. Word spread. A block party morphed into a support Alex vigil. Lanterns glowing on driveways. Signs reading, "Love thy neighbor." For real. Pastor Mike even showed, Bible in hand. But his sermon skewed gentle. God's love doesn't discriminate. Not everyone came around. Cousins unfriended us on Facebook. Church invites dried up, but the ones who stayed, they anchored us. Jamie came over Sunday, tentative at the door with a six-pack of root beer and his poetry book. Mom sized him up, then pulled him into a hug. Hurt him again, and you're toast. He laughed, relieved, and we spent the afternoon on the back deck, reading aloud while fireflies danced. Graduation loomed, a capstone to the chaos. Westview ceremony was outdoors, under a tent on the football field, the air sweet with cut grass and possibility. I walked the stage to pomp and circumstance. Diploma in hand, Jamie whooping from the stands. Mom sat beside Lydia, clapping till her palms pinked, tears streaking her mascara. Afterward, at the reception, string lights twinkling, folding tables groaning with sheet cake. We danced, the three of us in a clumsy circle to an old Motown playlist. I'm proud of you, Alex, she whispered, swaying offbeat, for being brave, for being you. As summer unfurled, the scars faded but didn't vanish. Jamie and I rebuilt slow. Dates at the arcade, late-night drives with windows down, Springsteen blasting. Trust grew like ivy, tentative tendrils. Mom started a support group at the library, PFLAG Cleveland West. Her bake sale skills now funding rainbow cookies for queer kids and their families. The neighbors? Some thawed, others drifted. The cul-de-sac became a mosaic, imperfect but real. Looking back, that red light on the camera wasn't the end. It was the spark. In the heart of America, where flags wave and fears fester, I learned love isn't a broadcast you control. It's the echo that lingers, drawing people closer or pushing them away. And in the quiet moments now, Jamie asleep beside me in our Oberlin dorm, Mom's texts popping up with, "Miss you, world traveler." I know we chose the light. Not perfect, but ours.